Today on Larry King Now, actor, filmmaker Adrian Grenier on the highly anticipated Entourage movie.
Vince, my character, decides he wants to step it up and do something bigger than he's ever done before. So the risks are larger and the reward is even greater.
On his important new documentary.
We hope that we can give scientists an opportunity to go out and tag hybrid whales and study the effects of ocean noise pollution on marine wildlife.
Plus, have you had a crazy fan encounter?
I've had, yeah, my fair share. You want to know the story?
Yeah. It's all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our guest is Adrian Grenier. Got it right? Grenier.
There you go.
Best known as the star of HBO's hit series and forthcoming movie Entourage, and such films as The Devil Wears Prada and Woody Allen's Celebrity, Grenier is an actor, filmmaker, and musician, also an entrepreneur and philanthropist. His new documentary, 52, The Search for the Loneliest Whale in the World, chronicles the search for a whale that scientists believe has spent its entire life in solitude, and asks what this journey can tell us about our evolving relationship with the world's oceans. We'll get to that in the next segment. Tell me about Entourage, the movie.
Yeah, let's get right to it, right?
Is it done?
It's done-ish. I mean, we've been shooting little pieces, but for the most part, the bulk of it is finished. I've seen a rough cut, and I gotta say, you're gonna like it.
Is it tricky when a television show becomes a movie? We've had it in the past. Dragnet became a movie and others. Is it tricky?
I mean, I suppose it's a bit tricky. But we're such a well-oiled machine that we could do it in any context. I mean, we could make mugs, and we'd still work.
What are some of the storylines in the new version? What can you tell? Where are we going with Entourage?
You know, I don't know what I'm allowed to reveal, and I don't want to be a spoiler.
What have we got a hint that's just a hint that gives us a taste?
Well, you know, we did recognize that we had to step it up. You know, it's a bigger format, so we just wanted to expand the scope. So Vince, my character, decides he wants to step it up and do something bigger than he's ever done before. So the risks are larger and the reward is even greater.
When is the schedule opening? I
think June 5th is the date, as of now.
Was it hard work for you? Was doing a movie different?
You know, ironically, it was hard to realize early on while making Entourage that I was supposed to have fun. And that was my core function, is just to have a great time. And so coming from like the indie world, coming from New York acting, it was sort of a stretch a bit. And you know, Doug Ellen used to come up to me, he was like, you know, smile. And I was like, it's not written in here that I'm smiling. He's like, you're always smiling. And so at first I had to, you know, get used to just having a great time. But by now it's a vacation to shoot that show.
Peter Falk said that he liked movies better than television because in television it was more get it done than get it right. While in a movie you can have more space and time.
I don't know if that's true anymore. There's a lot more creative license and financial support to the artists to actually create great television. And I think HBO is certainly a pioneer in quality television, and we on Entourage, I think we're right there in the beginning days of, you know, really great episodics.
Why was it a hit?
Well, I mean, you know, there's something for everybody on Entourage, but I think for the most part it's about friendship, it's about camaraderie. There's, you know, a lot of people said that a show about the industry was too personal. You know, it wouldn't be too much of a in, but not enough for a wider audience. But the core function of the show, I think, is to, you know, show that it's a bromance. So it's about brotherhood and friendship, and that's, I think, the driving force, and that's why people tune in, because, you know, in this day and age, we need that camaraderie.
Because it deals with a real agency, too.
Well, that, too, and, you know, Ari Gold and his rants kind of make it fun, and, of course, the wallpaper of the beautiful things to look at and all the fun toys.
You think the end of the film is going to lead to a sequel?
I believe so.
Really?
Yes. If I was a betting man, I'd say yes. I'd put it all down. Let it
Do you
ride.
expect it to return to television?
I don't see that happening. I think movies and more movies, and then maybe the merch will make some comic books and some mugs.
Why did it go off?
Why did it go off the air?
Yeah.
Well, I think HBO is wise when they know it's time to move on. You don't want to. We didn't want to jump the shark, so to speak. So we wanted to make sure that we ended on a high note and step it up. You always have to reinvent yourself. You don't just want to milk it just for the sake of it, and go out while you're hot.
When you got the original script, first, how'd you get the job?
It was funny. Early days when Doug Ellin was writing the script, trying to figure out how we're going to cast a movie star. All the movie stars are already movie stars, and they wouldn't want to do this show. It's just a small show at the time. So how do we cast somebody that's believable as a movie star? And at the time, I was a bit rebellious from television because, as we said, there weren't a lot of great opportunities in television at the time, and so I was resistant. I was, and coming from New York, I was like, I don't know if this is right for me. So I was a little bit resistant and nonchalant about the opportunity, and I think that helped get me the role because they saw that I had this ease and this this carefreeness, and that was what the character was, and that helped to define it ultimately.
Was your goal, though, movie stardom?
Was it what?
Well, you're a great-looking guy and very talented. When you started in all of this, was your goal movies? Because you've done movies.
Yeah, My goal was movies, but I think now I'm coming around to maybe doing more movies. I think my movie career is just about to begin, to be honest.
Even though you've done films.
I've done films, but now I think it's going to be a different story. You'll see. I've been focusing a lot on documentaries as well. So a lot of behind-the-camera work and Entourage has kept me occupied and happy. So now I'm going to come back to films.
Speaking of that, when we return, Adrian will tell us about the touching new documentary he's currently making. Don't go away. We're with Adrian Grenier. He'll be in the film Entourage coming soon, but let's get to the more important aspect of all of this and this documentary about why 52, the search for the loneliest whale. Why the number 52?
So my good friend Lucy Cooper, who's a producer in New York, called me and she said, I know you've done a lot of work in documentaries and you do a lot of work for the environment, and I have a film project that you would be absolutely perfect for because it combines the two. And it's a documentary film called 52, The Search for the Loneliest Whale. And it's about a whale, a lone whale floating off the Pacific, migrating up and down, searching for connection. And he's been calling out his whole life at a different frequency, 52 hertz, different from other whales who normally speak at 15 to 20 hertz, and has gone without a response his whole entire life. So he's a lonely whale.
How'd you find him?
Well, so that's part of the story. Early days back during the Cold War, the U.S. Navy put out a network of underwater microphones called hydrophones for the SOSUS program to track enemy submarines. And the inadvertent result was we got to hear underwater sound for the first time. And this whale, this unique frequency that was different from anything else that was out there. And so a scientist, William Watkins, studied this sound frequency and determined that it was, in fact, a mammal, a whale, who, for some reason, was speaking a different language. So perhaps it was a unique species, the first of its kind, maybe a dying species, or maybe he just had a speech impediment.
The whales live a long time, right?
Oh, a long time.
100
over
years.
Over 100 years, yeah.
So do you estimate how old this whale is?
Yeah, so we don't know a lot about whales. In fact, we know less about the oceans than we do the surface of the moon. There's not a lot of resources going into studying the oceans, unfortunately, and that's partly what we're trying to do, is raise enough money to fund science research and make this movie.
How are you raising it?
Well, we have a Kickstarter campaign starting tomorrow. So, yes, that's...
What do people do?
Well, they can go to lonelywhale.com, or they can go to Kickstarter and check out the Lonely Whale page.
And give anything?
Please, give whatever you can. Bring all your friends and have them donate and help us find the loneliest whale.
I'll kick in.
Thank you.
lonelywhale.com or Kickstarter.com.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of people have raised money this way, right?
Well, bring it to the people. The people will tell you what they want funded, and they'll tell you first, and they'll have a piece of it. I mean, there's a lot of great rewards, including a whale watching expedition with the Whaleman Foundation. You could come to screenings, and of course there are T-shirts and that sort of thing.
How do you find the whale every day when you go out looking to shoot him?
Well, it's not going to be easy to find the whale. Really, what we're looking to do is...
Has anybody found him?
No, we've only heard him. But we hope that we can give scientists an opportunity to go out and tag hybrid whales and study the effects of ocean noise pollution on marine wildlife, because that's becoming a bigger issue in the oceans. So, and when you're talking about communication and sound and of course our lonely whale trying to speak, you can't ignore all of the cacophony of noise, this aggregate sound that's out there in the ocean because of increased commercial traffic and military experiments and oil.
A lot of work has been done with dolphins, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
Historically, dolphins and the Navy have worked together.
Well, it's a vast, vast ocean, right? So it's not easy to do this kind of research. It's often long, arduous, dangerous work. Sometimes the open ocean can be very treacherous. So it's important that we get behind scientists and give them an opportunity to go out and do this hard work so that we can understand what's really happening underneath the ocean.
Senator Humphrey, when he was vice president, told me a long time ago that he thought we should spend more going down than going up.
Well, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, there's a vast alien world to explore and so much to understand about what's right here on Earth.
How'd you get interested in all of this to start with? The environment and all the things you get involved with?
Well, this is our home. And, my mom taught me to clean my room, keep it tidy, and, the world is our home. So I think it's time for us all to get together and do a spring cleaning.
There are some people who say it's too late to save the planet, that we have gone beyond. That climate change and the rest, we're, in a sense, doomed. Are you a doomsayer?
I'm not. I'm an optimist. Although, I believe that evolution really is king, and we need to evolve. We need to evolve beyond our current sort of myopic ways of just looking at the immediate future. We need to look long term. We need to recognize what we're doing today has an effect not only tomorrow but into the future for our children.
Will you be on the documentary or will you narrate it?
I'm going to be in it. We're still trying to decide whether or not I'll have a space on the boat to go out on the expedition. I would love to, but depending on how much we can actually raise, and hopefully we'll get enough, it'll determine the size of the boat. And so we need to have a crew to man the ship, and then we need the film crew, and then the scientists.
You have a budget?
We do. It's up there. But we're looking to raise at least $300,000 through Kickstarter, and I think it's very doable. I think
that should be doable.
I think it is. I mean, the online community, I think, is really excited about Lonely Whale. In fact, we've had an increased number of followers as of late. Everybody getting excited about Lonely Whale, contributing artwork, and basically responding to this story that is so compelling and really builds a sense of empathy and compassion in us.
You got 1,000 right here.
Thank you. All right, I'll hold you to it.
I'll give you a check. Coming up, I'll ask Adrian about his new music venture, and we'll play a little game of If You Only Knew. Don't click away. We're back with Adrian Grenier. By the way, remember, if you want to get involved and contribute anything, to kickstart this, you go to Kickstarter.com or LonelyWhale.com.
Yep.
It's a great idea. I just picture you out there on the boat. Where do you start? You go Tahiti? Where do you go?
Well, first you have to triangulate and figure out where the whale might be, and then
You can pick up the sound that way, can you?
yeah. So once we hear him and we can locate him, then we have to, and they're fast. These guys aren't slow, so we have to have a fast boat, and scientists hopefully will be able to do it. But at the very least, we're going to learn a lot about ocean noise pollution and hybrid whales, who have never been tagged before. So this is truly innovative, revolutionary science.
I bet you can't wait to see them.
I'm not holding my breath, but I think all whales are beautiful and majestic. Yeah. So just to be amongst them would be really exciting.
This one's lonely.
He is lonely. Yeah.
You started a musical label, The Rec Room. Tell me about it. What is it?
So Rec Room was very simple. I mean, I built a studio. It's basically my boyhood dream was to have a studio in my house. And when I was younger and playing in bands, I had little 4-tracks or little tiny, setups in my bedroom. But to have like a legitimate studio was sort of the pinnacle of what it would be to be able to play music.
The musicians coming by, are you?
Right. So I built the studio in my house, and then I found that I wasn't even using it as much as I wanted to because I was working too much. And of course, Entourage took a lot of my time and whatever. So I said, I don't want to just leave this beautiful space unused. So I started calling my friends and their bands and their friends' bands, and I said, guys, just go in and use the space. The only rule is that you record it, make a little video, and put it online, and we'll build a community. And since then, we've built a very robust community out of Brooklyn, and bands come in a little too much for my liking these days because, it is my house.
It's your house.
Yeah, it is. It's in my basement. So, bands can be a little bit messy, but it's worth it because to be around that kind of music is really rewarding.
So what are you? What is the heart of your passion? Documentaries, acting, music? What do you lean toward?
I'm a storyteller. I'm a communicator. I want to just communicate, and that's maybe why I respond so much to the Lonely Whale, who's trying to communicate, because it means so much to me. And whether or not you're banging on a drum, singing a song, or telling a narrative story through film, to me, it's just about trying to, make sense of this world and our existence.
Wow. We're going to play a little game of If You Only Knew, okay?
No.
I'll throw some questions at you.
Okay.
Just first girl you kissed.
Oh, my Lord. You really jumped into it, didn't you?
What was her name?
What was her name?
How old were you?
I was young. Rita was her name.
Rita.
Yeah.
Where was this?
This was in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Is that where you're from?
It was on the back wall, like a brick wall. It was, I think, a beautiful starry night with the moon was out. And it was magical.
You ever find out what happened to Rita?
Yeah, we're Facebook friends. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Favorite band of all time?
I'd say Funkadelic.
The actor or actress you'd most like to work with?
The actor or actress I'd most like to work with. Let me get back to you on that. There's so many great ones.
A place in L.A. where Entourage was filmed that you most like to frequent in real life?
Well, I do go to Earth quite a bit.
Guilty pleasure?
Chocolate, dark chocolate.
Pet peeve?
When people crowd the turnstile at the airport.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
Because you can't see your luggage and you can't get in there. And they don't just take a moment to think that if everybody spread out a little bit back, you'd actually increase the circumference, and then everybody could stand and look at their bag.
Yeah, airports are...
Now, there's a lot of them in the airports.
If you could travel back in time, what era would you like to visit?
I'd love to go back to the 20s.
Ah, the Roaring
The
'20s.
Roaring 20s, maybe some swing dancing. I always wanted to learn how to swing dance.
Best thing about New York?
Besides Brooklyn?
No, Brooklyn.
Let's just say Brooklyn.
You know, when you're from Brooklyn, New York's different.
That's right.
We used to say when we'd go into Manhattan, you're going into the city.
Right, exactly.
Brooklyn is separate.
It is.
Best thing about L.A.?
Yeah, my friends. I've met so many amazing people here. That's the best thing.
Have you had a crazy fan encounter?
I've had, yeah, my fair share. You
Hillary-
want to know the story?
Yeah. Give me one.
I think probably the most bizarre one was, you know, and it was actually not. It doesn't seem like a dangerous one. It's actually she decided that the front of my house was dirty and she wanted to clean up, so she went and she swept the outside of my house.
You just saw her one day cleaning?
No, she like put it on social media and put a picture. Is that creepy or is that a good thing? I don't know.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That's funny.
But helpful crazy.
Yeah. More the merrier. Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren in 2016?
I'm going to reserve my political leaning for the moment.
A new band or artist you've been listening to lately?
That would be the Skins.
Your most cherished memory?
The most cherished memory. I was 3 or 4. It was maybe 5 in the morning. Sun, like pre-dawn light. And my mom wrapped me in a blanket and took me to the car and we went on a trip. I don't really remember where, but it just felt so warm, and then the cool air on my face and my mom, and it was really cozy and nice.
You still remember that?
Yeah. Or I'm making it up, I don't know. It's the thing about memories, you know.
Right, did it happen?
Right, you don't know.
Up next, we'll conclude with some of your questions for Adrian from social media. Stay with us. We're back with Adrian Grenier. Remember, by the way, you can help by going to loneliestwhale.com.
Lonelywhale.com.
Lonelywhale.com or
Kickstarter.com.
Kickstarter.com. Contribute anything to get this wonderful idea for a documentary off the table. Any other documentaries in mind?
Well, I've made probably 5 or 6 at this point. So.
Any other issue you want to tackle? You tackled drugs?
That's right, I did, yeah. The last film I made, How to Make Money Selling Drugs, was a fantastic experience, addressing a very troubling reality of our war on drugs and how ineffective it is.
It's a losing loss.
It really is, yeah. So Matthew Cook, the director of that, and I decided that we wanted to tackle another topic. And because, I mean, we realized that while making the film about the war on drugs, it was really came down to our criminal justice system and prisons, and the sort of the codependent relationship between the laws and crime itself. So we wanted to try and address that, so that we can address the fact that we have 5% of the world's population, yet we have 25% of the world's prisoners.
We lead the world.
We do. So like either we're uniquely bad people in America or the laws aren't really doing what they're supposed to do.
Agreed completely. Couple of social media questions. On ZamIam, what do you think are the most pressing environmental issues we face today?
The oceans. We have to address the oceans. There are more and more issues that are plaguing the oceans, and you know, I think it's really a litmus for where we're at, and if we can't address that, we're in big trouble.
Gianni Califano on Facebook. Which song would you say defined you as a teenager, and who sang it?
It was, I think, Ween.
Ween.
Yeah. Push a Little Daisies.
That was your key song.
Well, I mean, I have to choose one, right?
Okay.
I mean, of course,
no, it's not a jury here.
There's the Beatles, and then there's. I'm going to just say Ween because you know that band made me realize that anything was possible, because it was so silly but cool and fun, and rock didn't just have to be you know suave, and it could be fun too.
At Ed Lee 1021 on Twitter, what shampoo and conditioner do you use? And why would someone want to know that? I admit your hair looks great.
Well, thank you. I just use whatever happens to be in the shower at the time, and it's like, I don't know.
There's no brand you're addicted to.
No, it's just, I buy shampoo. It doesn't really matter to me.
At Crave Chase 928 on Twitter, how similar would you say you are to Vincent Chase in real life?
I think he's more similar to me, actually. We both share a lot of things, the same hair. We use the same shampoo, believe it or not.
You do?
Yes, it's remarkable.
ZemIam on Instagram, what was it like working with Woody Allen?
Oh, what was it like? It was, well, that was Jim. He's quite a director.
In what way?
I think Woody Allen is a great writer, and he trusts his script, and he trusts his ability to cast well, and I think is very hands-off. If you write a great script and you cast the right actors, it's pretty much you press play and go. He knows that he doesn't have to over-direct, which I think was a fascinating thing to watch.
Is he demonstrative? Is he...
he's...
demanding?
I think he's really subtle. I think you don't quite know what he's thinking or what he wants, and so you just have to have faith that he cast you to do you. So it gives you a lot of freedom. And
when you see the finished product, what do you think?
I love his films. They're not all my favorite, but certainly Woody Allen has at least a couple in my top favorites.
At Jenna, what piece of advice would you give to aspiring actors and actresses?
Well, you have to understand the whole business. Understand not just acting and become sort of myopic in that, but you have to understand filmmaking, and so that you can give the director, you can give the DP, you can give your fellow actors, the whole crew, support in what they're doing, because they're helping you, and you got to help them. So I would say, take filmmaking classes, go to an audition, and see what it's like to see actors come in and have to audition, so that you can learn and gain perspective on your own ability to audition.
Interdependent.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Again, you want to help? We send anything you can send to get this thing kickstarted. You go to Kickstarter.com or
LonelyWhale.com.
LonelyWhale.com or Kickstarter.com. I want to thank my guest, Adrian Grenier. Learn more about this documentary, 52, The Mystery of the Loneliest Whale. And, of course, Entourage. The movie hits theaters in June. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. I'll see you next time.